I'm not sure if it was different from Bill Golding. I never really discussed it properly with him. When it came to do my O-level English literature, when the question was asked, describe the character of Piggy, I'm sure my answer was significantly different from everybody else's, but I did pass, so it must have been acceptable to the examiner. But I felt Piggy never really realised the potential power he had and his ability to influence the situation. He was a wise counsel, but not quite wise enough. He didn't understand the motivating forces, that if he'd understood them a bit better, maybe at the end he did. You know, when he's standing on Castle Rock, maybe at the end he did, but generally there's a lot of rubbish comes out of his mouth, in my view, during the film. As I say, I think that's probably very different from other people, but and possibly I feel I can say things about Piggy that other people wouldn't say, because there's a fairly close relationship between us.
Have you written a letter to your auntie lately? I don't know where she is now, and I haven't got an envelope or a stamp. And there isn't a pillar box or a postman. I haven't seen anything very funny.
Congratulations. That's it over there. That's it.
Peter and the crew lived in a hotel just up the road, and we lived in this disused pineapple cannery that they made into a dormitory for us to live in.
Oh, this was over. I think there's another road.
Well, this was then the court.
And there was a thatch.
There was a thatch, yeah, and there were the sticks at the front
here.
too, with the yeah. Well, there it is. There it is. There's the canopy. Right. Goodness me.
Well, there's the gate right
is this
there.
the front or the back?
Yeah, there's the gate. You all right?
Hey, wait for me. I can't hardly move for all these creepy things.
I don't remember very much about this place. Thank God I never stayed here.
We're on an uninhabited island. But it's a good island. There's lots of fruit, water, and I'm pretty sure there aren't any dangerous animals, so things aren't so bad. And we can build shelters and be comfortable. If we don't lose our heads, we'll be all right.
See, if we go up front, we might actually see where the front of the building was, where we used to have the assemblies in the morning, where Brook would arrive and tell us what we were doing for the day.
That was up in there.
Oh, the film affected my life in a way that I couldn't have imagined. I thought the film would come out, it would be seen, it would be something that was there. I wasn't prepared for how important the film seemed to become in terms of a film production. At the time, we weren't aware of the immense reputation of Peter Brook. And then when we came back to England and we started to see his name in the papers quite a lot, he produced the very famous King Lear the year after we made the film. I suddenly thought, hey, you know, I worked with this man, and how proud I was to have done something like that, that nobody I have met in my life has done in a similar way. You know, of all the kids in all the world, we were the 30 who were chosen to do it, and it's just really fantastic feeling.
Does anybody know who this is?
No.
None of us. Was this the guy that was supposed to be Jack, but never was?
You did look very evil, you two boys, actually. Then, I mean, you have an evil look about you. I think that's what Peter cast you all for, really.
What are you doing then, Toby? Are you enthralled by the master's work?
I don't remember the things I didn't enjoy. I mean, people have reminded us about incidents that took place or difficulties that took place. Those sort of things have really escaped from my memory, and I don't remember not enjoying the experience at all. I really don't.
This week, we're having the opportunity to come back together to reopen this spectacular page of our life and decide, well, what effects did it have on us? Was this really something that came and went? There's been 35 years that have come and gone. We've lived through many, many other parts of our lives, and to tell you the truth, I rarely think about my role of Simon so many years ago. But here, this opportunity came, and here we are, and these people are people that we can take up relationships with, and we can start looking at our own lives and saying, well, what impact did this really have on our lives? In my case, I'm a forester, and I work and live in the out-of-doors. My business trips are camping trips. Now, did this all come from the role of Simon? No, it was me, but the role of Simon exaggerated and allowed me to become who I am. And it's the first time this week that I come back here, I can realize that a lot of my frustrations in my professional life don't really need to exist at all, because I am who I am. I have this foundation of simplicity. Things are best distilled into simple terms, with perhaps that innocence of leaving out all of the other complicating elements. I seem to be best at that still, and I haven't appreciated until maybe right now that these same characteristics in my personality were those that Brook utilized and saw in 1961. This is probably the last time I'll ever have in these few days to get close to these people and for us to examine, are these our roles because Peter made us this way, or are these roles that we played, are they us?
Come away, there's going to be trouble.
I felt I wanted to talk to you because since we spoke at the beginning of the week, or since you spoke to us at the beginning of the week, I've been thinking very hard about where we'd all come from since 1961. And the only thing I could do about it was this morning I had to write it all out in my diary about my feelings about it. Mm-hmm. And I felt really that I wanted to share them with you to see what you felt. And so basically here we are, and I wondered how you would feel about me sharing it with you and with the others, if you felt that was right. I think what is beginning to happen is that our characters are coming to life. Tom, Jack, is a restless, self-centered person, but you have to respect him because he's aware of this and lives his life accordingly. Hugh Piggy is the soulless pragmatist. He cannot relax and go with the flow. He needs to have a role. He needs to have something to do. Ralph James has started out well enough in his acting career, but he now has to take work which sometimes he doesn't respect. But crucially, he still has the chance to do more. It's the same chance that Golding gave Ralph at the end of the book. He doesn't die. He has the chance to go on. Tom, Simon seems to be at one with himself, is now prepared to contribute given the opportunity. The twins remain outsiders. Their closeness and their ability to share with themselves is setting them apart, and at some stages actually has been intimidating other people. But I do believe that there is a direct connection also to Peter's work since Lord of the Flies in all this, because I feel that he believes that the true purpose of the expressive arts, and therefore of expressive artists, is to provide the catharsis for audiences to change their lives if they wish to do it. The major problem is that most of us are not trained artists. So I now believe that Peter runs the risk of abandoning us all to fate, just as he did in 1961, when he plucked us out from our schools and our homes, put us on the island, and then cast us back again to live our lives as if nothing would ever change. I still feel an outsider, but I know I have the potential to grow from this experience. And I think others can do too. And if we don't do something about this, then I think we run the risk of not learning anything about this week. That's what I felt at 7:15 this morning.
I think you said you're now being confronted with it 35 years later. I find it very odd that that confrontation hasn't happened much earlier. I mean, perhaps things really do remain very much more hidden below the surface than one ever likes to imagine.
The interesting thing is that I don't know of anybody who was in the film who has maintained friendships with anybody else in the film, other than you two, which is obviously would happen anyway. But that seems strange, doesn't it? If it's a life-changing experience, you would have thought that there would be some link maintained beyond the film. I can't understand that.
I think it's an unspoken bond. As Piggy might have said, we don't have to meet and have tea.
It's clear that what is most interesting always is what's happening now.
Yes.
This is where we are. What we lived through in the past is giving a certain stamp to this moment, that if we'd got together a half a dozen people that we'd happened to meet on the plane to San Juan, we would not be sitting here in the same way. And I think that that's where the interest lies. I mean, The Lord of the Flies was a documentary in the sense that you were all being as true to yourselves as possible. And yet, you couldn't have done that if there hadn't been a story to tell. And the story itself is a very pessimistic one, because it says that a meeting like this is useless. That in the end, people won't deeply wish to listen deeply to one another. That's what the story says. Because constantly the blowing of the conch, we must have a meeting, we have a meeting like this, and one sees that the secret flow that could have avoided calamity, no, the rock drops. Now, I think that's, in a way, is the interesting question now, when it's the real people, without a story, without an end in a script. Do we believe that coming together in this way is a human device that's doomed Is it possible to listen to another, or we're saying, well, right?
Can we grow from this experience?
Can we? Or we'll kiss one another, exchange a few words, and in fact, at bedrock, nothing can be touched. That's the